right from manufacturing, usage, and discarding process. How does sustainability play a role in terms of these tiling methods? We have different types of vitrified. So one is a full-bodied, and there is a double-charged vitrified tile. So what is the difference? How do users make sense of these different? How to make sense of this material also? Where should we use it, and why should we say opt for porcelain over vitrified or ceramic? Hello and welcome to CQRA Quality Dialogues. Yet again, this is where we discuss quality and only quality of construction materials, of processes, and of tools. This is your host, Architect Shruti Hussain, and we are going to be discussing quality with the expert himself, Mr. Ujwal Kunte, who is the founder and MD of CQRA. And CQRA, which is one of the country's leading auditing companies in construction quality, safety, and quantity surveying. Before I tell you what we're going to discuss, I wanted to tell you a case study, a short story, you can say. I was at a friend's place, and they have bought a new house in the swish new IT suburb of Kharadi in Pune. And it's a new building, and it's a very well-renowned developer. But in fact, when we went inside the flat, it was really good on the face of it. But the terrace had a completely different story to tell. It had completely cracked tiles, and the family was really disappointed because they really could not use the terrace at all. So, what we noticed, or what the family told me, was that this terrace and the ones entire in the row, they were all facing the west, so they bore the brunt of the west sun and intense heat. So that was the problem with the entire thing. So that was a particular snag that I noticed when it came to those tiles.
Yes, actually tiling, or what we call flooring, is a very, very important aspect because it gives the first impression of the quality of a building.
Exactly, yes.
So it's so important in aesthetics. And the problem that you mentioned is common, at many places. And it is primarily because of some of the incorrect construction practices that are being used. Now, we call this typically ballooning of tiles. Now, it sometimes happens in terraces exposed to sun, or it can also happen in halls, large halls, especially on the top floor, where when you close the windows, the room is likely to heat up.
Okay.
So, all these tiles have got a property of linear thermal expansion. So they can expand, and they can expand due to temperature as well as because of moisture. So both these, are natural properties of tiles, whether it is ceramic or vitrified. So there are certain limits to different types of tiles, So there are different grades of tiles, which we will discuss later. But these properties are related to the grade of the tile used. So you have to use the right kind of tile in the right space, for which it is being used.
Right.
And one of the problems is that these days people like paper joints. They don't want joints. And originally, world over, spacers are very common. They recommend spacers between the tiles.
So people, you're saying, want as thin as possible, so it looks like a complete
jointless,
one-piece jointless surface. So
correct.
Exactly, that was the next thing that I was going to ask you, was that about spacers. So how this particular snag in the tile, and what did spacers kind of have to do with this particular problem in that sense?
See, problem is when the tiles butt against each other. And when the space is large, it could be and exposed to sun.
Right.
The expansion does not allow the tiles to go anywhere. So tile being a light material, it delaminates, after expansion. So it, comes out of the surface, and sometimes it can crack also. So a recommended thing is that either you have spacers, and if you can't have spacers, if you're really wanting a paperless joint, then you should have a expansion joint near the walls, a very thin expansion joint of PU foam, which can hide beneath the skirting, so it allows the tile to expand.
All right.
Okay, and spacers, I feel, are mandatory, in many places, especially in terraces and bathrooms.
Right.
Because there is a possibility of leakage, and paperless joints, you can't fill it with mortar. So it looks, butting against each other, but water can pass through it. So if you have a spacer where you're filling it with either, cementitious or epoxy grout, then it seals the surface. So you're reducing the probability of water seeping down.
All right. So in this case particularly, so this is something that I will tell my friend to, pay attention to. So whoever now, they could hire a contractor and address this very, pertinent snag which keeps happening in a lot of buildings, and then people don't know what to do. So this is also a case of improper application and improper sort of process that was in fact used here. Going ahead, there are different kinds of tiles that are, available in the market. And yes, of course, for the benefit of our viewers, you must have guessed by now that flooring tiles is the material that we are discussing today. So you're going to get a complete, detailed information about the kinds of tiles that are there in the market, the kind of processes, and what are the quality aspects that you need to pay attention to. And Mr. Kunte is, of course, here to guide us and tell us everything about it. So, Mr. Kunte, we have, ceramic tiles, we have vitrified tiles, porcelain tiles, which are there in the market. And let's decode each one of this, type one by one in terms of their peculiar characteristics for the benefit of end users.
Okay. So before we come to ceramic, vitrified and porcelain, let us look at what are the technical specifications of tiles. Okay. So IS code has, divided tiles in 3 categories. We call it B1 grade, B2 grade and B3 grade.
Okay.
Okay. And this is based on primary characteristic is water absorption. So based on water absorption, this classification is done.
Yes.
And B1 is the highest grade. Okay. And then comes B2 grade, and the last is B3 grade. So each has got its application. So generally, B3 is the lowest level, with slightly higher water absorption, more than 6%. So it is generally used for wall tiles. Okay. B2 grade is and ceramic tiles generally fall in B3 and B2. Then vitrified tiles, which are slightly better, they are falling in B2 and B1 category.
All right.
Okay. So that is the range of water absorption is 3 to 6%. Okay. And the mechanical properties also change along with the grade.
Yes.
So denser the tile, the mechanical properties are better. They get better and better.
Right.
And generally B2 category is to be used in normal living spaces.
Right.
And B1, which is the highest grade, it should be used where footfall is very high. So commercial spaces are there, open walkways are there. So there, durability comes into picture. Okay. So you have to use the right material in the right space. Right. Okay. B3 can be used for dado tiles, where there is no wear and tear, possibility of wear and tear.
Yes.
So this is about the grades. And when we come to ceramic, vitrified and porcelain, basic material is China clay. So China clay is a special rock, kaolin rock is found in many places. In our country, it is found in Rajasthan. Okay. So they make a thin powder out of it, and then that material is fired, baked. Okay. And then you get the tile, the ceramic tile. Right. Now what they do is, if you add some more quartz and feldspar into it, so this material at high temperature, it fuses and it becomes glassy. Okay. So when you add that, it becomes a vitrified tile. Right. Okay. And it is slightly fired at a higher temperature. Okay. And when you are using a very fine quality of clay and with little more feldspar and quartz and fired at a higher temperature, then it becomes a porcelain. All right. So basic material is the same. It is some more ingredients and the process that changes the quality of the tile. Okay. And as your grade improves, the mechanical properties, the durability, the aesthetics, the stain resistance, all other properties also improve. Right.
That's actually very interesting, because as even designers or contractors, end users, we don't pay attention to the manufacturing process and then how that is actually changing the properties, and that also changes the application of these particular tiles. So that was actually a very informative thing that you told us about all these three different types of tiles. And in the case of vitrified tiles, which is also a very popular material, which is used in the building industry, we have different types of vitrified. So one is a full-bodied, and there is a double-charged vitrified tile. So what is the difference? How do users make sense of these different types that are there?
So generally, the tiles, full body vitrified tiles, you'll have the entire body of the china clay with the same content of quartz and feldspar and the glassy material that gives the density to the material.
Okay.
And it is fired only once. Okay. So
right.
more the quantity of this glassy material, the finer is the quality of the tile.
Okay.
Now, what happens is that it also increases the cost. Okay.
I see. Okay.
So sometimes what they do is that the tile is done in two layers. Okay. So the lower layer has got a lower content of quartz and feldspar, and the top 2 or 3 layer, which is actually exposed to wear and tear or surface, surface abrasion or footwear contact. So that has got a higher content of quartz and feldspar. So first it is fired at in the first layer is fired, and then the second layer is fired. So that's how it is double charged.
I see. So that's how the name double charged.
So they are economizing. You don't have to put that same content of quartz and feldspar throughout the material, and you can put vary the content. So that's how it is full bodied or double charged.
Right. So users should understand this and know where they want to put in their money and how that affects the kind of application or the place that they're using. So something that has a higher footfall probably would call for not double body, but like a full body sort of vitrified tile and not double charged. Maybe that could be the application.
Yeah, because suppose there's a possibility of chipping. You're using it on external surfaces.
Right.
So what happens is that a full bodied is uniform throughout consistency.
Right.
So there's some chip off. It will not look out of place.
Right. It will not.
But whereas if it's a double charge, a chip off may look it will be easily be seen.
It will compromise probably the aesthetics. The other really popular type is we have porcelain tiles. Like you said, it uses a finer grade of clay and it is a little more premium in that sense. So how to make sense of this material also? Where should we use it and why should we say opt for porcelain over vitrified or ceramic?
So porcelain tiles definitely have better aesthetics. You have really good aesthetic finish to it. And of course they are the most durable tiles, but they are also very expensive. So generally the water absorption of porcelain tiles is less than 0.5. So they are extremely impervious. Okay. So good for wet areas, kitchen, and I would say that use the porcelain tiles only where it justifies their cost. Otherwise, very good quality vitrified tiles will also, give you the same durability and, other aspects that you need.
I see. This was about the look and feel of tiles as such and how they are made, but how to, sort of lay them. So their sort of adhesives and also the types of grouts also decide, your experience of that particular tiled surface. So how well these adhesives or grouts perform, how well they look. So how to make again sense of this particular system of adhesives, grouting, and what are the different aspects that users, architects, designers need to pay attention to?
So actually speaking, tiles can be laid in mortar and tile adhesives.
Right.
Okay, but generally for flooring, bedding mortars are more common.
Okay.
And so problem with bedding mortars is that these days you don't get natural sand. Okay, so you get crushed sand.
Which is crushed stone.
Yeah, crushed stone. So crushed stone can be used, of course, no problems. But problem with crushed stone is that, it dries up, it has got a larger surface area. True. So it dries up very quickly. Okay, so when you lay the mortar, okay, you can, it starts drying very quickly and you have to ensure that the tile bottom surface is properly embedded, and it adheres to the mortar.
Right. Yes.
So sometimes what happens is that if it dries too quickly, then it doesn't adhere to the surface properly.
Okay.
So the solution to that is that you should have a little bit of a retarder, added, which gives you adequate time. The mortar remains plastic until you complete the laying process.
I see. Okay.
And as far as tile, adhesives are concerned, there are different grades of tile adhesives. They are more commonly used for dado, vertical surfaces.
Okay.
But the grades are very important. You have type 1, type 2 and type 3. Okay. So type 1 adhesive is generally used for ceramic tiles.
Okay.
But if you are doing using vitrified tiles, which are heavier slightly because they are denser, so you use type 2 adhesive.
Okay.
And if you are using externally, external surfaces where there's water, sun, weathering, so there you need even a stronger adhesive, so which is type 3.
Okay.
So you have to use the right tile adhesive, otherwise there's a strong chance that tile can delaminate.
Okay.
And you were also mentioning about grouts.
Yes.
So generally we have two types of grouts, cementitious grouts and epoxy grouts.
Okay.
So cementitious grouts can be used everywhere, but they should be used more in dry spaces.
Okay.
They're more cheaper.
Keeping in mind seepage of water because that's a particular spot that
correct. So I was talking about spacers. So those spacers have to be filled with a grout.
Okay.
So if you are having wet spaces, bathrooms or terraces, it is always recommended to use a epoxy grout because it is more durable and it will not allow the water to seep in.
Okay, so better waterproofing qualities in that.
Yes.
Okay, I see. That's actually very pertinent because I don't know how many people know about type 1, type 2 and type 3, adhesives. Although it is what generally happens is if anybody is doing any kind of renovation work or something in the house, you just go by what the contractor is telling you, but people don't know that the application of a particular type is for this kind of a tile. So that was, I'm sure, very informative to all our viewers here. Lastly, we discussed all these three different types of tiles, but now sustainability is also a very important thing that is of value to end users.
Everybody is talking about it these
so
days.
they want to be responsible in a way that the kind of materials that they're using in their houses, and also the life cycle, and even how to kind of discard these materials as such. So right from manufacturing, usage and discarding process, how does sustainability play a role in terms of these tiling materials?
If you ask me, tiling is a relatively much more sustainable material.
Okay.
Because you're using natural clay-like material. Clay, quartz, feldspar, they're all natural materials found in abundance.
Yes.
Okay. The only energy intensive part is the firing process. When you fire it to a temperature between 1000 to 1500 degrees, there's, coal or energy consumption.
True.
But now what has happened is a lot of new technologies are coming. And they are reducing the quantity of energy required for this. So processes are becoming more and more efficient.
Interesting.
And not only that, if you ask me, there's possibility of recycling of these materials. The debris can be actually recycled. It's clay. You can again make something out of it. So if you are able to segregate this material from the general building waste, you can use it for a good application.
Okay. That's also really important. So we have to make it some kind of a cyclical process to make sure that the right materials are separated
and
reused. Right. This was really informative when it came to the different kinds of tiles. But stay tuned and watch out for the next part of this segment of flooring tiles, where we will talk about the characteristics of flooring tiles more in detail.